So Batman 117 is upon us, and this marks the end of James Tynion's tenure as writer on the core Batman title for DC Comics. So we're going to talk about Fear State, we're going to talk about the conclusion, and we're going to talk about his run overall and how it measures up. So first, let's unpack Fear State. Fear State is a story that involves the Scarecrow getting his hands on this technology called a thought bomb, and he's holding the city kind of in his almost as a hostage. He's going to his ultimate plan is to detonate this thought bomb into Gotham City, which is going to rewrite people's brains and kind of make fear their dominant emotion. And he's going to evolve society through that. Basically, through the other side of this, Gotham City is going to emerge as a new society, a new way of life, basically having embraced Scarecrow's worldview. So in the shadow of that, we've got the rise of this magistrate. Now, the magistrate is a private security firm, basically these big armored super cops that have been deputized and ordered to bring, or given the task to bring order to the city after the events of the Joker War, which was James Tynion's other big event that he did last year for Batman. So that's kind of the setup for Fear State. And it all comes to a head here. And how does he handle the conclusion to all this? And he handles it actually pretty well. So first of all, George Jimenez, who does the art for this, is just stellar. This guy is a rock star artist, in my opinion. I think he's given us a Batman that is really unique. He looks really cool. I love the visuals he gives Gotham City, because this isn't like the Gothic, the giant towers, cathedral-like Tim Burton movie Gotham City, or even just kind of the generic city that we saw in like the Dark Knight movies. This is a weird kind of mix of new and old, this old craggly crumbling architecture but overlaid with this neon cyberpunk. It's just really interesting. It's really been a fresh take on Gotham City, and I've enjoyed that from George Jimenez. But this opens up with, this is Saint. He's the head of the magistrate, and everything's collapsing. Everything's falling apart. He's losing his grip. He's throwing the kitchen sink at Batman, and Batman will not die. And he's finally losing it, and we see why the Bat family has infiltrated as armored peacekeepers and is bringing his operation to a close. And this was a really cool character moment of Batman's team just dismantling this apparatus over the last couple of issues. It's been really fun. It's been really great, especially as Batman has just been beaten to a pulp by Scarecrow, by just the Gotham streets, and by the Peacekeepers, especially Peacekeeper 1, who is the leader of the Peacekeeper, who's this roided up Captain America in battle armor type super cop. So, and in fact, one of the main cruxes of this issue is kind of the big fight between Superman and Peacekeeper 1. And look at this fight sequence. This is so good. I love this artwork. It's so dynamic. And while this is going on, you have this character who is Miracle Molly. Miracle Molly is kind of this cyberpunk revolutionary character, and she's the only one with the expertise to disarm this bomb. And she's been kind of an ally to Batman in this new world that he lives in. And she's the head of something called the Unsanity Collective, which is this group of like-minded cyberpunk-like characters who want to see a change brought to Gotham City. And as you can see, Scarecrow's there. He's kind of beaten and bloodied, but he's still whispering in her ear, and he's telling her she's disarming her bomb. I know you're a revolutionary. I know you want the city to change, and right now you have a choice. You can disarm the bomb, thwart my plans, and the city's going to go on and be as it always was, or you can let my bomb go off and get the revolution and get the change that you've been wanting, even if it's not exactly how you want it to happen. So she has to disarm the bomb, but she doesn't know if she wants to. Interesting little character moment here for her. So we also have the storyline with Harley and Ivy that's been going on. I've really enjoyed how James Tynion has written Harley Quinn's character. She's been really well done. She's trying to be a hero, trying to help the people of Gotham and be part of the Bat family, but at the same time, she's still Harley Quinn and kooky and insane. But I didn't really care much for her role in this storyline. She's got this thing with Poison Ivy, who's kind of lost her humanity, and it's Harley trying to cure her of that. And I don't want to go into a lot of it because it didn't really have a lot to do with the story. And honestly, this scene just kind of drags the whole thing to a halt for a bit. So I didn't enjoy that a whole lot. One of the things that I did like is James Tynion's got this really good way of, in all of his big events, there's these moments, these big character moments where the tables are starting to turn, the heroes are starting to win, and something happens to really just kind of give the reader a cool, like, little chill down the spine, however you want to call it. In the Joker War, there's this scene where Batman had been poisoned and incapacitated, and he's going to, you think he's going to be killed by Punchline, and Batman, he overcomes it. The antitoxins run its course, and he's got this cool, we've broken you, we've beaten you, we've taken everything you have, we've poisoned you. How are you still up? And he just basically stands up, gives an "I am because I'm Batman" basically moment, and beats Punchline, goes out and takes care of the Joker. So, and in this one, the bat signal was destroyed at the beginning of the Joker run, and that was well over a year ago, and it hasn't been back for the entirety of Tynion's run since that point, and especially since the Peacekeepers came along and basically declared the Bat family as just as criminal as everybody else. There hasn't really been a need to restore it. So, but by the end of the story, the Peacekeepers are kind of unmasked for the authoritarian presence that they are. Scarecrow's fear effects are starting to wane, and the Bat family is starting to take over control of the city again. And we have this really cool moment where the bat signal is back flying above Gotham City, and it was really cool. This was the part of the book that I really enjoyed. As Gotham's getting back to normal and the heroes are coming back out on top. Very fun moment, and just kind of some of the stuff that James Tynion's been known for. So, how does he leave Batman in this? How does he leave him? He's really changed the character from where we found him. He's introduced a lot of new characters. Batman's lost his fortune. Batman's lost his house. He's lost control of his company. He's kind of operating out of this little brownstone in Gotham City. So there's this good scene in here, and I don't know if James Tynion meant it to be a little bit of kind of commentary on society as a whole, but I kind of took it as that. I'm curious to see how you guys took it, and it's this speech where he's trying to convince Miracle Molly to disarm the bomb because she figures out she can have the best of both worlds. She can not only not disarm the bomb, but she can reprogram it so it doesn't release the fear effect that Scarecrow wanted, but it will still reprogram everybody to basically a fresh start, a blank slate, where it will erase most of people's memories and experiences of Gotham City, especially recently. And Batman's trying to talk her into, no, you can't do that. You have to let people make their own choice, and you have to have faith that if you give people the freedom to do that, they're going to make the right one, and everything will work out. And Miracle Molly doesn't believe this. She's lost her faith in humanity. And that was kind of the theme in this. Poison Ivy had lost her faith in humanity, and she had to get it back. The Magistrate is the end effect of politicians in the city losing faith in their people. And so they unleash this authoritarian presence. And so you have this speech that Batman gives where he basically says, you have to have faith in the people around you. And he's not sure if he's right to do so. And there's so much in this world that he's not sure of, but he believes. This is what he believes. This is the core of who Batman is. And I thought this was just such a great moment. What he says here, the human capacity for good is incredibly powerful. I believe when you take away the politicians and the media and the corporation, and it's just people together, they can overcome their fears and they can overcome anything. And what a good what a good message in today's world, I thought. I thought this was really, really a poignant scene. Bravo to James Tynion for putting this together and really showing how, at Batman's core, where he's all just, vengeance and anger and brooding, that he's got this core of hope that keeps him going at the end of the day. And I really thought that was cool. It was a really good moment. And I thought it was a really good kind of final bow for James Tynion as a writer, for his final word. Well, maybe not final word on Batman. I don't know if he'll ever return to the character or not. Who knows what will happen in the future. Hopefully he will. But in the meantime, I thought this was a really good final word on the character for him, for James Tynion. And I think he's leaving Batman at a really good place for a new writer to take over. And so I'm curious to see what whoever comes next will do with it, if they'll keep a lot of what James Tynion's put in place there, or if he'll make changes and make obviously he'll change him. He'll have a different voice, but at the same time, we've got these new characters like Miracle Molly here, like Punchline, all these new characters. I'm curious to see how new writers will handle them. I'm curious how they'll handle Batman no longer being, the rich billionaire playboy. He's now just kind of a upper middle class living in a brownstone with a little bit of money vigilante character. I think he's kind of been brought down to maybe Daredevil level of money and resources. So we'll see how DC handles that. But, ultimately, I think DC Comics is going to regret letting a writer like James Tynion get away now. I know he's off to Substack, and there's probably nothing they could do to keep him. But, he did such a good job of taking Batman, giving the fans of Batman the character that they've always known and loved, while at the same time changing the character, evolving the character, forcing the character to really examine his worldview and really examine what drives him to keep doing what he's doing, and doing all that, but at the same time not changing the core of who the character is. He had such a good understanding of Batman that he was able to do all this without changing the core of who he was, and I appreciated that. And I would have liked to have seen what he would have maybe had to have say with, say, Superman or Green Lantern or Flash or somebody else. Take a stab at one of these other characters and give him a similar treatment where you can bring this character into a more modern way of storytelling and make a lot of very significant changes to the character, but the character is still there and he's still recognizable and still there. It's still the character that the fans love to see. So very interesting. I'm sad to see him go. I'm excited to see what he's got up his sleeve. I think I heard that he took George Jimenez with him. And I think these two are a fantastic creative team for whatever book they're going to land on. I'm really excited to see what it is they come up with on Substack. So that's it. Just like James Tynion on Batman, I'm done with this one. So let me know in the comments below what you thought of his art, of his run overall. We've got Fierce Day, Joker War, all that stuff. Let's talk about it in the comments. Are you excited to see what's coming next? Are you hopeful? We had Tom King before him, who was just a kind of a divisive writer. A lot of fans weren't a big fan of him. I wasn't a big fan of his run. I was really excited when James Tynion took over, and I'm going to give the next guy a chance, but I think he's left some pretty large shoes to fill, and I want to know what you guys think. So let's talk in the comments below. If you thought he was great, if you thought he was terrible, tell me why you thought he was terrible, and we'll talk about that too. And while you're down there, please hit like and subscribe, share the video, help the channel grow. I really appreciate it. We've grown a lot recently, and I want to keep that momentum going. And I will talk to you on the next video. Bye.